You're listening to the KB Podcast Network.
Coming up on this episode of the Kingdom Bringer podcast.
And it's just like I wanted to let that person know that I was following a leading from the Holy Spirit through another friend of mine, and then all I'm doing is opening a door. I'm willing to walk through it. Do you want to walk through it too? The idea that God can show you something that the enemy can also show you. And one spurs you on to trust and obey, and one spurs me into a spiral of guilt and fear and shame or anger, or burning bridges. I'm going to isolate, I'm hurt, I'm whatever. I'm going to go spend time with God. I'm like, I feel like I spend time with God all day long.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Kingdom Bringer podcast. I'm your host, Darin Eubanks, and today I'm excited about this episode. I had a good chance to sit down and connect with a good friend, Josh Littlejohn, a friend to the podcast. It was his third or fourth appearance on the podcast, but we had a conversation via Skype, really had some interesting discussion about relationships, about conflict resolution. Kind of fell into the same vein that we've been on for the last 3 or 4 episodes of this podcast, and it was a good one. I want to talk about a couple things real quick that Josh talks about in this episode. One of them is SAFETIME. It's a ministry that him and his wife Naci run together, and you can find out more information about SAFETIME, where to sign up, how to share it with your friends at joshandnaci.com. I will have that information in the show notes. And he also talks about an event, a ministry that his friend Michael McIntyre in Dallas, Texas runs called the Next Level Experience. You can find that. You can find more information about that, what it is, at nlebegins.com. That's NLE, like Next Level Experience. nlebegins.com. They have an event coming up in November 8th weekend in Canyon, Texas is the Next Level Experience. You can find that on the website. Sign up and register for that one. They also have one in January, I believe, coming up in Dallas. You can find all that information at nlebegins.com. And like usual, if you guys want to do me a favor to rate, review, subscribe, and share this podcast with your friends, that would be a blessing. I would really, really appreciate that. If you're interested in giving, you can financially support what we're doing here at Kingdom Bringer. You can go to kingdombringer.com and click the donate page. There's an easy link to PushPay where you can give a one-time gift or a monthly recurring gift. Either one would be amazing, and I would thank you guys in advance for that. Check us out on Apple Podcasts, Google, Stitcher, Spotify, wherever awesome podcasts are found. Share us with your friends. Leave us a rate and review on Apple. That really does help, and we would like to see that. We'd like to give you a shout out for those of you who do that as well. So thank you for that. Also, don't forget, if you have any questions or comments, you can shoot them my way to Darin at kingdombringer.com. That's Darin at kingdombringer.com. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to respond. Let's get a dialogue going. You guys are amazing. Here is my awesome conversation with my awesome buddy, Josh Littlejohn. Enjoy.
No, I'll talk. Are you recording right now?
Yeah, go for it, man. Let's talk about relationships.
Yeah, I'll talk about, let me tell you something that happened to me a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And so I was at this event. I was helping with this event. It's called the Next Level event that my friend Michael McIntyre puts on, and it's like this 3-day really intensive. I don't know. It's hard to describe it. It's a 3-day deal where you're confronting things in your past and what you're going through now, but also like what are your goals and your future and what's in your heart and what has God put inside of you to do. Anyway, so I had been through the program 2 years ago, but he asked me to come help with the latest one they did. And so I was just walking in there like, ha ha ha, I'm going to help. And, wasn't expecting, God just really hammered me through the whole weekend. And God's conviction is nothing to do with guilt and shame. Like, I always know when it's God's conviction because it makes me want to do the thing he's convicting me to do.
Yeah, that's good.
So for example, instead of him showing me a poor relationship I have in my life and I feel down about it, or I feel shameful or guilt, which I feel like the enemy, that's the way he convicts us. He's accusers. He's accusing. Yes. And so like with our kids, you're a parent, I'm a parent. And with our kids, or with Jude, my oldest, he can accuse and say, you haven't prepared him well. He's almost 13. And I get the accusation is like, you don't have a great relationship and like all these easy things, right?
Yeah.
What have you done to prepare him? What have you done to connect with him? How are you leading him? What kind of man is he going to turn out to be because of you? Right?
Yeah.
Very easy to go there as a parent. We all, have those thoughts at some point. But the way that I receive them it's in that manner has always just been a lot of guilt and shame and fear. Right?
Yeah.
So all these words that are coming into my mind are producing guilt and shame and fear. And it's just like, okay, some of that may be true, right? It doesn't matter. But that doesn't feel like the Lord's conviction to me. That's not the correction of a good father. That's the correction of a critic, of a cynical person, of our enemy. It's that voice of our enemy. And
somebody outside of relationship.
Yeah. Whereas, so I was in this event and I was just getting rocked all weekend, and God was really speaking to me about my relationships in my life and really they had to do with family relationships. So I have good friends, that I talk to, that are here in Texas, in Kansas, wherever, good friends that I can call and talk to for 30, 45 minutes. Once or twice a week, whatever. But my family relationships, for whatever reason, we haven't really been that close. Like, there's just a lot of opportunity there. I'm talking to like my mom, my stepfather, my dad, my sister, my brother-in-law, and so he was showing me and what I mean by he was showing me, it's just like this strong waves of like impression. Like God was speaking to me like, I want those to be better relationships. And guess who is a common denominator in all those relationships?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Right. And I was like, oh, wait, that's me.
Me.
I wonder if there's I wonder if that's a coincidence. Probably not.
Probably wasn't the Lord talking, actually, huh?
But it was this thing where it's hard to describe the differences. I don't think I've ever really processed them out, but it was like the way those words were coming to me and those impressions were coming to me made me just want to confess them. Jamie Winship has this amazing thing that says confession is telling God what you did or what you think, telling God your truth, may not be the truth, but what you perceive. And so it's just like, I wanted to just get it out there. So I actually went to a dear friend of mine who was at the event. I went there early and I sat him down and I said, hey, man, can you pray for me? And he's like, what's going on? I just told him, I was like, my family relationships suck and I'm at the center of all those. And they weren't like toxic, but they just weren't much, right? Yeah. The relationships. And so I just confessed that thing to him. And I wanted, like, it was like when God convicts you, it's like you want that to come out of you. You're like, oh, you're right. And I want to get this out. And I believe power. I wholeheartedly believe in the power of confession.
Yeah.
In fact, we're building a big time, hopefully it's a big time ministry out of the whole thing. SAFETIME is that's kind of what it is. For us, there's been major power in confessing. So you're not telling him something he already doesn't know, but our Father wants to hear that you see it, or that you, and have that relationship with you that you can tell him, right? So he's a God of relation. He wants that relationship. So I wanted to confess, and so my friend prayed for me. It was amazing. And, but it wasn't like, hey, let's just pray these relationships get better.
Yeah.
Right. It was like,
yeah.
And it's like, who are you praying for? You to do something? You could pray.
Yeah.
You're going to get off the couch for a long time, but it's ultimately your job to do.
Yeah.
But then, the next day, or right after the event ended, I made actual steps and called a couple family members and were on the phone with them very shortly after the event, a couple days, and confessed to them. And it wasn't like it wasn't anything beyond like, hey, here's the reasons why I don't feel like we've been close, because that can just stir the pot. Does that make sense? That can just, for sure. That can go back in the past, and all of a sudden you're stirring up all these record of wrongs that we're not supposed to keep. And
this is how you made me feel.
Yeah, right. And we'll get into that.
Yeah,
that's another part of it, but because sometimes that does need to be done.
Yeah.
But for these other things, it was merely, especially with these family things, it was merely going, hey, I just want to let you know that God showed me that I want to value that family relationships are important. And I guess we're talking about family relationships for sure in this part, but
yeah.
And I want to let you know that I want to have more of a relationship with you. And I even confessed that I don't know what that exactly looks like, and I'm not sure I know really how, but I want to tell you that I want more, and I want to tell you that I want to try. And, and it was just like that in itself. Because I think also you think you need the answer.
Yes. Yes.
So here's a plan. We're going to talk once every 2 days, and, then I've got it all scheduled out, and this is how it's going to look. And I think sometimes not having that plan or not knowing what the relationship's going to look like can prevent you from actually just making that first step.
Yeah.
The first step, just going, man, our relationship's not where I want it to be. And I think I'm a big part of that problem, right? I'm more than half the problem, I'm willing to admit. I don't even care. I don't even care who's the problem. I want a relationship with you because we're family and it's important. And,
oh yeah.
And that's all it was. And so I had a couple of those conversations, and that was enough to just break down the walls for everyone, both sides. Does that make sense?
It does.
It was just like, I'm opening my heart and being very honest, very vulnerable, and not having any answers, and not even saying I wish I would have done this and I wish I would have done. None of that matters anymore. It's just going, hey, I just want to let you know that I've been sucky at this. And I want to let you know I want to be better, and I'm sorry. And there was an apology involved as well.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I want to talk a little bit. I remember back even before that next level event that you're talking about, there was a situation. You and I had talked on the phone. You felt like the Lord, actually somebody came to you and kind of called out some stuff that you needed to deal with. And you took that as the Lord speaking through them. I'm assuming, right? That was kind of like the love of the Lord leading you into repentance in that moment. And I remember we had talked kind of leading up to what you knew you needed to do. And it had to do with the relationship. It actually had to do with family again in that situation. But I think for me, this one doesn't necessarily have to be a family when it just so happened that yours was. But I think this one here specifically kind of goes to, I think any relationship that, like you just said, that you want to have, any relationship that you want to continue with, and you know that there's something sour there, and that there's real feelings in your heart, and there's real things that have happened. And I remember I was kind of giving you some wisdom in regards to what I thought maybe you should do or how to handle this. And I think jokingly, you had made the comment, what's the point? Right? You said, what's the point in this? And you weren't talking about this one specifically, but it was in our conversation of what's the point of, I don't know, reconciliation, I guess maybe would be the word. What's the point of pursuing something that you know may lead into conflict? Is that?
Or, yeah, I would say, yes. So just to back up a little bit.
Yeah.
It was the whole testimony the whole story is amazing, and how God was involved in these other people as well. But to answer that question, it's like let's just say, okay, here's a good example. Let's just say, you have something there's something in the air between you and someone else.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's just the way I describe it.
Tension's a good word.
Yeah, there's something, like you run into the grocery store, there's some awkwardness because there's an elephant in the room. And the reason or there's a cloud in the sky when you guys are together, or because you both know that there's things that are, and the reason is you both know there's things that's been unsaid.
Yes.
Unsaid. You've got things you want to say to them. They've got things they want to say to you most times, or whatever. And maybe you don't even know what you'd want to say, but you just know that there's things in your heart about that person.
Yeah.
What do they say? You feel some kind of way.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
You feel some kind of way about that person. And, they feel some way about you too, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Right. And it could be so many different things, and different big things, little things, whatever. And so the whole kind of like the big picture we were talking about is like, okay, but let's just say, like, you also knew that, like, you were okay with that because you knew you weren't going to be like best friends anyway.
There you go.
And hanging out and going fishing. We're not going to all of a sudden start playing catch in the front yard.
Yes.
And he's going to be the godfather of your kid, right?
Yes.
So it was like, in my mind, I was going, okay, yeah, I could, with people like that in our lives, yeah, we could, hey, let's go out of our way to have like let's schedule a coffee or lunch.
There you go. Yeah.
Not, it's not going to be fun.
Yeah.
So in my mind, I'm going, so I had kind of falsely put, it could only either be this or that. Either we're either going to be best friends, or it's not even worth having that lunch. That's the point.
There you go.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, because you were actually on the brink of stepping into a sit-down conversation, right? Having a meal with this person, just to hash this stuff out, as we say. And this was
and
a
I
thing.
didn't see the point of it.
Yes.
I mean, I was posing the question genuinely, and I was asking God also, like, what's the end game of this? And because I wanted to know, me personally, I wanted to know that this, uncomfortable, awkward conversation, hurtful, and that was going to be hard to hear as well. Like, you don't want to go and hear stuff that you've done to someone else as well. Yes. That's not fun.
Correct. Yeah.
So it's like, why is it going to be worth me going through this crap?
Yeah.
For what, if there's not going to be like if I couldn't see the answer on the other side as to what the relationship would become. Does that make sense?
It does. And I think that's always been the question for me in regards to restoration, right? We hear the word, the Christian term of restoration all the time. What does restoration look like? And I mean, I've come to the conclusion that it doesn't look like what we think sometimes, that restoration doesn't always even mean, hey, we're going to go back to the way it used to be,
No, and which is the term restoration.
It is correct
in the dictionary.
Correct. Yeah. Restoring something back to its original state or whatever.
But maybe that means your own restoring your own heart.
Restoring your heart. That's good.
Before, maybe it's not the restoration of the relationship, then maybe it's the restoration of your heart before it kind of took on either some offense or something, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. No, that's good.
Some bad feelings, some bad vibes.
Yeah. And so stepping into that kind of awkward, as you said, moment where you need to sit down with somebody and talk, what was the thing that we ultimately said the point was? I remember saying for myself, clarity was a good thing that you kind of needed to be in, because there was some misconception, I think, on both parties, correct? With your situation?
Uh-huh.
There was probably some lies that needed to be nipped. There were some things we like to use our imagination when there's no communication, we're left using our imagination as to what the issue is, as to what the person's thinking. And I think that's like the devil's playground, kind of, he really likes that place.
We're so good at making up stories.
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost like our brain is a story making machine at all times.
Yeah.
Right. And we all do it. Good stories, bad stories that kind of fit how we want to feel or make, in a way.
Yeah.
You look at somebody's picture on Facebook and they're hanging out with someone else.
Yeah.
Right. Just a person hanging out with someone else. And you got all in 5 seconds. Actually, your brain works so fast. It's probably in a half a second.
Instantly. Yeah.
You've got who must have called who, when they arranged that, what they're talking about, what they ate for dinner at that restaurant. I'm telling you, it's true.
Was I the subject of the conversation?
Well, yeah, just whatever. You got the whole. Our brains are wired that way. It seems.
Yeah.
And it doesn't even have to be bad. It could be good. You do it the opposite way too. Somebody posts. It's funny. Oh, I didn't even think of this, but this fits right in. A few days ago, I posted a picture of my daughter on a Vespa, the scooters, the mopeds.
Yeah.
And I got like 2 messages on Instagram. Did you buy a Vespa? Right. And then it's the other day, like a week or 3 weeks before that, I posted a picture of this really cool BMW motorcycle that I just thought was a cool vintage looking motorcycle. So I took a picture of it and posted it to the Instagram.
Yeah.
And I got like 2 messages. Is that your bike? And so we also do that. It's not just negative. Like, you bought a Vespa,
Yeah.
And
that's true. Yeah.
Well, I was telling another friend, I was like, it's fun. It's like, no, it's not mine, but this is funny. Because we, and there's also, people use that, marketers use that nowadays to deceive like crazy. They rent the Lamborghini, sign up for my program, sign up for my coaching, sign up for this. Look how, I rent,
this could be you.
This could be you. Look at the watch that, he rented or borrowed, and the car that he leased, whatever it is. So we kind of make up stories that we want to believe, know?
Yeah.
It seems like
we make it match what we're feeling inside, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's like if I'm down and I'm bitter and I'm sad and I'm offended, yes, the story better look like that actually better be going on, or otherwise I'm like deceiving myself, right? So it needs to look like what I'm. Yeah. Because
otherwise you couldn't bear to handle the real truth, which is like, no, it's got nothing to do with you.
Yeah, you actually took offense. Yeah.
Yeah. So
with you, I feel like so what at the end of the day for you, in that, we'll just cut to the end of that, because I also talked to you after that confrontation happened. What did clarity do for you when you chose to have that meeting, you chose to have that confrontation, you chose to be vulnerable
and to be fair to that person, they also chose to have a meeting. Like, very cool of them. I basically, this is another way that we don't have to do it perfectly. I basically sent them a text that said, listen, I'm not sure if you want to, but I think I was told by a friend who I believe was led by the Holy Spirit that we need to meet and give our relationship a shot at reconnection.
Yeah.
And I said, and in the text, I said, I don't know what that looks like. I don't even know. Yeah, I don't know what that looks like. I don't know if you want to, but if you want to meet up, I'm down to talk about it. And that's like it's like we can be very, like, I just wanted to be very honest.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I wanted to let that person know that I was following a leading from the Holy Spirit through another friend of mine. And then all I'm doing is opening a door. Hey, do you want to walk through it? I'm willing to walk through it. Do you want to walk through it too?
Yeah.
Without knowing where that goes.
Yes.
That's the other big thing.
Yeah.
And that's where I was so hung up, because I was like, I'm willing to do this, but I'm wondering why am I doing this? But that's where like trust and obedience comes in. And so if I really believe that there is a Holy Spirit, right, which is, we should all remember that. This is crazy talk.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm being facetious, but like it's just so funny how we have one foot in the world and one foot in heaven, and I'm like, no, you have to go with it all the way.
Yeah,
like,
right.
Does it sound crazy that somebody said the spirit of the God that created the universe told me to go have lunch with a guy?
Right. for an unknown reason. Yeah.
Let's just own it and be crazy, right? And let's own it. And then let's not pretend we have this strategy, because we're already trusting something that's really a step of faith to believe in the first place. So let's just, this is all hindsight, of course.
For sure.
I'm kind of preaching to myself now, but
yeah.
So, but yeah, you realize how nuts that sounds, right? Like, so for me to go get hung up for a couple days, like, what is even the point of this? It's, we're not going to be best buds and friends, even though I know there's stuff in the air that I want to clean up. What's the point? Just so I can tell him how he makes me feel and he can do the same. Then what?
Yeah.
Right. And I just didn't, I didn't see the point. I couldn't see the point at the time. Yeah. If that's what you meant. Yeah.
For sure. So what kind of healing took place for you? Why was that important? Why was that meeting necessary to take place for you personally?
Well, first of all, I had no idea how much I needed that meeting. Like, I would have told you, nope, that's fine. I probably never need to have that meeting.
Yeah.
I could go on, just kind of seal that part of my heart off, and it's not totally dead, but it's not really alive and open. And that I'm really good at that. It's a thing that I know I need. It's like a warning, a red flag for me. I can do that really easily.
Yeah.
And so what God's been working on me lately is just really confronting those things and being brave enough to trust him that he wants my heart fully open in every direction to everyone. And there's still things and people that I need that to work on that with. But starting with family is probably pretty important. And but anyway, so we got together, and it's kind of what it was. You take turns, and you're just like, this is what I saw. This is what I saw. So what's up? And then, like, this is what I saw, and this is what I believe, and I feel like you did this and that, this. Okay, and then it's like, well, here's what I believe, and here's what I saw, and blah blah blah. And it's really not like that. One person talks, and then you're like, well, that's not at all what I meant by that, or think it happened. Let me tell, and why do you think that? And then it's just like, so it was an opportunity to like clarify and talk about, and this does not work if the people, like, I think we both came in there very humble and willing to be wrong.
Yeah.
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 You need,
sure.
like, if you're coming in to just say your piece, well, not even a motive, but if you're coming in just to fire off, that's, to me, you're not really meeting to listen.
There you go. Yeah. I've got something to say. Right. Yeah.
I've got something to say, but that's great. But are you willing to listen to put yourself in their shoes?
Yeah.
And really, I think a good way I would describe it is that you got to go put yourself in the other person's shoes to see yourself and how you acted through their eyes through that time or whatever it was. Yeah. Right. And then all of a sudden it's like, so does it mean that what they thought was true? No. Right. But you get on their side of the table and you look at why they thought what they thought. And some of it might have been true. And you're just like, no, you're right. I should have done that better. And I'm sorry, Yeah. Well, but this part wasn't true. Let me show you, and I'll show you why. This part, you're right. I blew it on that. And that's kind of how it goes.
I think with even with a successful relationship and a failed relationship, there's two people, right? And so I think when you have, and I think that's one of the things that I was encouraged. It's always easier to encourage other people to make hard decisions. So it was much easier for me to encourage you to have that conversation with somebody that you needed to have that conversation with.
Totally.
And I think that speaks to something too, where not everybody probably has positive voices in their lives that are encouraging them to do these difficult things too. I think, there's a lot of like worldly advice in that situation would have been screw them. Doesn't really matter. Just move on. You don't need that. You don't need that crap. If you're not going to be in a relationship, what does it matter?
Yeah.
But I think there's something about carrying the spirit inside of you that is a spirit of reconciliation and is a spirit of restoration that, like you said, it's almost more about allowing the other person, like, because you're actually called to care more about that person than yourself. Right.
Yeah.
And so it's a matter of, if nothing else, I'm going to allow this person to experience some healing because, and to get it off their chest. And so that's not always, again, it's not easy, but I think if we're really looking at things outside of our own perspective, and I think you said that, putting yourself in that person's shoes, well, it only makes sense, to like bring what I can bring as far as an opportunity for that person to get something, lift some weight off of their chest, And you experience that, right?
That is true. I mean, you can, and I've seen people kind of take that and twist that and like, I'm just going to go and not approach it from reconciliation. They're just like, hey, I'm just going to be the bigger man and let them go vent on me.
There you go. Yeah.
Without willing to.
Yeah.
I think it's just probably very rare, unless it's an abuse situation. Just very rare that there's not a fault to go around on both sides,
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I think I've seen people like, oh, I'll be the martyr and go, just take the heat just so he can be free.
Get this over with.
Well, yeah. And so I think that's something to watch out for. But yeah, so it was just like what was discovered from that meeting was that there had been narratives and stories made up on both sides.
There you go.
And, but there have also been hurtful things on both sides that were very quickly, and let me not discount this either. God was very present in the meeting. I know I had 3 or 4 close friends just praying for that situation at the time. So, that's not a small part of it, as well.
For sure.
And so, but I think we were just in a place where, I don't know, just life's too short too. And it's just like, there's a maturity level of going, listen, we know we need to talk. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't even care. I'm willing to take whatever you're going to say. You know what I mean? And cause I know we may not know and the answer is, but we know that this could be better.
Yeah.
And, I don't want to, my brother-in-law has an amazing quote that I love, or a way to live. He just said, I think his dad taught him that he'll never, in a good way, he's like, I don't ever want to have to cross the street for anyone. Like when I see them coming,
there you go.
It's like, I want to live, I want to live in a way where it's just like
freedom.
There's nothing. Yeah. Freedom. And there's just anything that needs to be cleared up always gets cleared up, even if it's just your side of the street, because you can only do what you can do. You can't force anyone to have a relationship with you, but you can do right by you.
Yeah.
And you can do your part and just say, listen, I blew this. If you never want to talk to me again, that's great. But you put that ball in their court, but yeah, so I had no idea how much I needed that meeting, and it's just been great since. I mean, it's not like, hey, we're best friends, but neither of us really, I don't think, needed that or expected that, but it just been really good, really fruitful, and because family is forever, so that's important as well. So, but yeah, I don't know, did I hit everything you were thinking?
I think so, yeah.
I kind of want to go back to that conviction of God's conviction as well.
Yeah.
I just love that, because there's a lot of trust and obedience and love wrapped up in God's conviction. And the idea that God can show you something that the enemy can also show you, and one spurs you on to trust and obey and not have to know the answer, and spurs you on to action to make a change, and one spurs me into a spiral of guilt and fear and shame or anger, or burning bridges, I think it's just it's just for me how I know that I put those in boxes. It's like, that's how I take those thoughts captive and just file them. It's just like, oh, that's the enemy. That's not the Father.
Yeah.
That's not the Father. That goes in the trash can,
Yeah, that's good.
And it doesn't mean that's fun to listen to. It doesn't mean you don't dwell on it for a little while, but it's like, that goes in the trash can. And, so anyway, yeah. And also, but back to relationships as well. What he also showed me is that, they take investment in pursuing in, and it's real easy to, especially, it's really easy to think like, maybe like, oh, I don't have a lot of close relationships. I don't have a lot of friends. And then I would say, and I had to be real honest, was like, well, how many outgoing phone calls have I been making? How many outgoing texts have I been making?
That's true.
And
yeah.
I'm having a pity party over here. Cause I think the last 3 months, 6 months or so, 8 months probably, I've been in kind of a wilderness of friends, or just, it's been really like, it's been distilled, like they've been boiled down to like, okay, who are actually, and then I think I went through times where it's like, you can easily, because all my friends have busy lives themselves, right? You can go through a time where it's like, man, I don't feel like I talk to any of my friends at all. Do I even have any friends? And then the enemy is like really getting you, right?
Yeah.
Isolation is his biggest weapon. It's the biggest red flag ever. And it makes you get in these situations where it feels like you're supposed to isolate. That's what feels good. And that's how I personally know that's when I need to make a phone call or text someone.
Yeah.
So it's the opposite of what you want to do is isolate. And I'm telling you, there is no fruit at the end of isolation. There is none.
That's good.
Like, you can isolate yourself and it's not going to work, but there's always, I've never regretted reaching out to someone ever. And not even just saying, hey, here are my problems, but hey man, how's it going? What are you up to? What are you doing?
Yeah.
And he also showed me that in this past 6-8 months or so, that I just kind of expected friendship to come to me. Like, it's so easy to get in those habits too. It's like, hey, nobody's called me in a couple weeks.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Or have you called anyone in a couple weeks?
Yeah.
Do you not appreciate being called?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yes. How do you think that makes someone feel when you call and text them for no reason? Like, hey man, how's it going today? What are you up to? Literally, that's it. Like,
yeah.
Cool. Or you call someone on the way to work,
Yeah.
And so also, just for me, he's really exposed. It's like, no, you've been spoiled. Make effort, and make effort in these relationships. And it's not even that much effort. It's like, it doesn't equate to like hard work. It just means, no, it's a two-way street.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a two-way street. And I really believe that God, in different seasons, we're either like a hub of our friends or just kind of a connector, or we're like someone else is in a friend group. You know what I mean? It's just like, man, if I'm not texting, reaching out, connecting, then who is,
No, I think that's great with the whole isolation language, because you're absolutely right. It's our flesh's instinct to, man, I'm feeling something right now. I need to go figure it out. I need to go think about it. I need to go sit in my thoughts and really just almost, and we even use the language of like, I'm going to go figure this out with the Lord, like I'm going to go spend time with the Lord. It is important, but I think we twist that, at least for me personally, it comes down to, I think you had mentioned the word conviction there, and like we're even afraid of God's conviction. And I think it's because we're afraid that his conviction is going to look like the other conviction. Like we misinterpret what God's conviction really is. And so for me, I don't want to face conviction. So, oh man, I don't know. Instead of taking my feelings and my issues to someone or to a group of people to where the common denominator may be found out, I tend to let's figure this out first on the side. And you're right. It never works that way, because we were actually, I believe, created for relationship. Like there's a drawing inside of us for relationship with people. And so it's actually, when we try to go that isolation route, I really believe that we're fighting against what the Holy Spirit wants to do with us on this planet, which is relationships, you know?
Yeah.
And
it's funny. I know what you mean though, because it can be a little bit of a cop out, because it's like, hey, I'm gonna isolate. I'm hurt. I'm whatever. I'm gonna go spend time with God. I'm like, I feel like I spend time with God all day long. So like, did the Spirit of God leave you when you're hanging out with me, and like talking to your friends, and or it's like, how long do you need? I mean, like, and so there's, or it's just like, is it normal practice for you to go off and spend time with God and not talk to anyone else, and then come down off the mountain with the 10 Commandments,
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I do know that there are people who swing the other direction though, and they are like, they see everyone as an opportunity to process what they're going through, and really they just want to talk. They don't really want to listen usually.
Yeah.
And so it's just like they do the opposite, and I'm like, you really probably should sit and think on this for a little while with God.
It's true. Yep.
Or just take it to 2 or 3 people, instead of like you've just told 50 people about your problem in your marriage, right?
Yeah.
And you may have done a lot of damage in everything you just said, or you know what I'm saying? Or you just told 50 people about your offense with this other person at church.
But you haven't gone to that person yet.
And well, you either haven't gotten to that person, or you should have kept that with 2 or 3 people.
Yeah.
And you guys all like that you respect and are wise, because you just sowed a bunch of seeds. You just sowed a bunch of seeds that you had no right to do, and frankly could cause a lot of damage.
Yeah.
And it's like I've seen both. But when someone goes off the radar for a week, you're just like, maybe we have a different idea of God and what that process looks like, you know?
Yeah. Well, let's talk about vulnerability real quick, because for me, this is reminding me of a quote that I heard a while back, that vulnerability is simply giving someone permission to minister to your heart. And so if you think of it that way, and I was spending some time with the Lord it was like on a Sunday morning during church one time, and I was in a situation where I didn't feel like I had anybody that I could go to for these issues and these problems. And the Lord,
you were,
I was just really deep in prayer, and I was really in this kind of a wilderness state, like you had said. And I was looking for people that I could confide in, that I could go to. And I really felt like the Lord did say to me in that moment, you've got to be vulnerable with me first, meaning you've got to give me permission to minister to your heart first. But I think that when he does that, he is going to lead you into relationships with people. And so for me, the quote that I heard was, vulnerability is in the middle of something. Authenticity is at the end of it. And so he said, we're called to be vulnerable with a few so that we can be authentic with everybody.
Yeah.
And that was really cool to me, because if you look up and down Jesus's ministry, he had a few, right? I mean, he had 3 that I believe were kind of his inner circle. And then there was the 12, and then there was 144, and it just grew from there. But I do believe that Jesus was more vulnerable with a few amount of people than he was with everybody, but he was authentic to the whole world because he had a few people that he could be vulnerable with. And so with the vulnerability aspect, how important do you feel like it is for people to be vulnerable with each other, with people, with certain people in their lives? How important is that?
Super important. I believe strongly that there needs to be at least 1, 2, 3 people that need to know everything about you.
Yeah.
Fully, just whatever Brene Brown's definition of vulnerability is really good. I heard it the other day, but I can't remember exactly. It's like being fully seen, fully known, you know.
Yeah.
And these are people that you trust, obviously, and people that you know want the best for your life. They're going to call you higher, like call you out of a despair or out of lies, and they want like the best. They want you to like advance in life, you know, to succeed, to dream, to do, to go, to accomplish. But that's your quote. That's so good. I think,
being vulnerable, I'm okay with like the broad definition of what vulnerability means, but for me, it's like almost a case by case. Like, man, I'm in this right now. And I almost feel like the Lord can bring different people in your life for certain seasons and certain moments. And it's like, in this season right here, I'm going to give you permission, Josh Littlejohn, to minister to my heart. You know?
Yeah.
I'm going to choose to be vulnerable with you in this moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I did that. So a good example for me anyway, at least what I think you're talking about, is when I felt that correction, God's conviction, the couple weeks ago at that event, I showed up early and had a friend pray with me, but I bared my heart with him. And I think maybe you can be vulnerable with those 2 or 3 people, but when you get that, after that, being fully seen and that wisdom from them and the prayer from them, I think you can be authentic for everyone. You can share those things, but you're just not, it's just who you receive from, you know?
Right.
So you're selecting who you're going to receive from.
Yeah.
And then you can be authentic, which means probably sharing the same things, but you're sharing it from a place of knowing that you've already, people that have your back already know it. And so you can just be real. So yes, now that I work out your quote, it's really good.
Yeah.
You can be authentic with everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
It is important. It is important. And, I've never regretted it. But I don't ask enough. In fact, the first thing I said to him was, I showed up at his house and I was just like emotional, crying. I've been crying the last 2 days. And, so I said, hey man, I don't ask for help enough. I don't ask for prayer enough. I don't know if it's a pride thing, it's a pride thing, or just I'm going to bear it myself. No one needs to know this. I'm good at listening. I'm good at being present for other people, but it's not a big deal. Or it's a big deal, but I just don't think about it sometimes. You know what I mean? I don't think about opening up enough. And so I just said, I don't know if it's pride or, I think we probably have more pride than we think, but it was like so good. And it also I want to be constantly reminded to keep doing it. You know what I mean? It's just, it's like, why does it have to just well up into something so big and then ask for others for prayer?
How much does time hurt that, man? Because, we always hear time heals all wounds. Not so much. I feel like time, sometimes the longer something goes on like that, the more it's calloused over for sure. And so is it something that you would, if you were counseling someone, you would give them advice to get this done sooner rather than later? As far as have those conversations? Yes. Yeah.
I would say talk to your 2 or 3 most trusted friends, tell them the situation, understand if you're in a place healthy enough to have an adult conversation, we're not going to yell, scream.
Yeah.
Maybe there's some of that, but there's a way to have an adult conversation.
Yeah. That's good.
Then yes, I think it just solidifies wounds, it almost like,
yeah, it does.
They become entrenched.
Yeah.
And
instead of this is how I feel, it's almost like this is the way it is.
Yeah. This is the way it's always going to be.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. But
go ahead.
There's also a time to sit on things for a little bit and just like, hey man, I've seen people just too quickly, and they just think it's like everything needs to be processed right away. Amanda, I thought I saw you make a look at dinner last night, and it's just like, and that's okay. Yeah. But if that's all the time, maybe that's something about you as well.
That's good. Yeah.
I don't know. It's like because we can make up stories all the time, but let some time play out. I'm like, is that really true? Is that really true? Did I make that up?
Yeah.
And then it's like, I wait for some confirmation. I'm like, okay, I do need to talk to this person, because otherwise you're really just, you remember we talked about the things you believe on social media.
Yeah.
Otherwise you're really just, you're not taking thoughts captive. You're not sitting with those thoughts before the Lord.
That's good.
You're really just, the enemy's just making you like a tennis player, making you run from sideline to sideline.
Yeah.
that,
and that's
there's
that's exhausting
with
for
that
everybody.
person.
Yeah, that's exhausting for everybody. Being in a relationship with someone, and I've been there too, where everything's an issue. Like everything that I
Yes.
feel is an issue, and it's like that's probably an issue worth nipping in the bud, but not every cut requires surgery. So let's not make it that way. I think that's good.
Yeah, I mean, I think what we really need to do is, if you think something's up with someone, right? Good chance there is. But you just wait. You got to still, or if you think you did something or you saw something, or there's an issue, man, is there any other evidence for that at all? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just like where Naci and I will talk, run it by your wife, your husband, another friend, but keep it confidential. But then it's just like, okay, hey man, I didn't think something was going on, but I saw this and that as well. You want to talk or whatever? I think that'll just keep you from running from one thing to the next, like a chicken with your head cut off.
Yeah, that's good. We're getting close here. Let's transition real quick into talk to me about SAFETIME. What is SAFETIME that you and Naci are doing?
SAFETIME is we create time, we create space to be present with people through like face-to-face video calls, for them to share anything that's going on in their heart with people that have been there. Namely, Naci and I have been somebody that, like them, that is just maybe a little further down the road, that we've experienced so much freedom from confession and getting things that we were holding on to out of the darkness and into the light. And we're providing a place for people to do that for free with their phone through a video call, completely confidential. And it's not necessarily counseling, but it's really, we're trusting the Holy Spirit that he knows what he's doing, and that he fills those places, those cleaned out places that happen in the conversations, and he fills them with light and provides them freedom and breakthrough and just lets them get past. We all have that thing, right?
Yeah.
We all have that thing that it's not about being forgiven. It's not about going to heaven. It's not about any of that. But chances are, just because of life, we all have that thing, and maybe that thing you've never told anyone, or that thing that you think in the back of your mind is still holding you back. It's just like, you're not worried about if you're forgiven or anything like that, but you're just like, I've never told anyone this. And it doesn't have to be just deep, dark secrets, but even if you're just telling somebody that you're lonely. I've never told anyone that I'm lonely, and I just want someone to tell someone that, it's not,
yeah,
hey, these are like LA confidential, big secret things.
Yeah.
It can be, but it's really just a place to come and open up your heart with people that have been there. And I know that was a lot longer than I'm wanting to pitch, like to describe it, but that's a good way to describe it. And so right now you can go to joshandnaci.com and you can look and you can book SAFETIME. They're 45-minute sessions. Again, they're free. We are in the process of making it a 501c3, and so nice. we want to do this more. Right now, we're only doing like 4 or 5 appointments a week, but we would like to do a lot more, and we'd like to expand it to where it's not just her and I receiving calls, but we have a network of trusted volunteers that want to be in ministry and helping people and loving on people, but on their own terms, which meaning time and energy. So that's one reason we love it, because I can go to like a Darin, would you like to sign up? Darin and Jamie, would you like to sign up to volunteer for 2 slots a week? I don't know if they'll get booked, but would you guys like to be available, 2 45-minute blocks a week to listen to people, pray for them?
That's awesome.
And it's like, yeah, you just have I had no idea how much of a blessing it is. I mean, we pray, we get to hear people's hearts and receive them in love and understand with them what they're going through. And then we get to, pray over them, speak words of life and encouragement over them 4 or 5 times a week in our driveway. I mean, like, talk about magnetic, like, ministry. It's kind of, so instead of, it's a blessing both ways,
Yeah.
So to us, what we're doing, especially now that we're going to make it an organization of 501c3s, I want to create a platform and a platform of those connections to happen. And so that's the big idea. There's an app and all the stuff, right?
Yeah,
but the big idea is the platform. We'll see how that goes. That's just kind of in the back of our head. But for now, it's what Naci and I are doing. And we've been doing it 5 months, but now we're making it like more official. There's going to be more times and all that.
And you've seen some cool freedom brought from this, correct?
Yeah. I mean,
it's something that you guys actually can see, right? You get to see that person probably a shift during that call a little bit. Yeah.
It's amazing, and we get, you get some of that, but then you also get, like, we ran into someone the other day in real life who we had a call with, and, we hadn't heard from her again, but that means good. Like,
yeah,
that's,
yeah,
we don't really want to make people reliant on us at all. That's not what it's designed for. But she just said, you have no idea. And she was, there was some marriage things and that she had told no one about. No one at church even knew that her and her husband, were going through some tough times. And, I ran into her the day and she said, you have no idea how well we're doing now. And she thanked us for just a lot. Like, she's like, you have no idea. I never feel like I tell anyone at church. And, that's not a problem with the church. There's a lot of things that could be the reason, but
for sure.
So there's that. And, so yes, it's amazing. We have an amazing story, personally of, even though we were saved and leading a church and all that, there's something that Naci and I both had needed that we never told anyone. And then, there was always that thing. It's still a relationship. There was that cloud in the air, right? There was that elephant in the room. And it was a really small elephant, and it only poked its head up from time to time, but it was there.
Yeah.
And we never talked about it.
Yeah.
And we never told anyone else about it. And when that happened, it was just like this level of freedom, breakthrough, and all kinds of cool stuff. I'd like to get on and tell you about that whole story another time.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, so I really believe in the power of confession. I do. And I think you can get alone in a closet and confess everything in the world to God, of course, and you're forgiven easily. That's absolutely true. But there is something about telling of someone in the flesh, right? And what's cool with this too, I forgot to mention, it's husband. So they're not just talking to me, they're not just talking to Naci, but so in a lot of senses, we represent a man and a woman, a husband and wife, and a mother and a father.
Wow. And
so there's power. I really have a deep conviction there's power in that. So it's the face-to-face in front of a husband and a wife, a mother, father, man and woman.
Wow.
And so there's just a lot of things that the Holy Spirit can connect and release when that's who you're confessing to.
That's so good.
It's got nothing to do with us personally. But there's just like, we're trying to cover all those bases.
Yeah. No, that's good.
We need to have a dog in the back too.
Yeah, there you go. Everybody's coming. Have a SAFETIME party. We've talked about the possibility. We've talked about the possibility of you guys having a podcast. And I think this would be really cool. We're not going to spill too much about that right now, but this will be something I think that people that haven't gone through one of these SAFETIME with you guys will be able to kind of get an idea of what your ministry is about, I think, from this podcast. And so I'm excited about that. And they can get more information at joshandnaci.com. I'll have a link in the show notes where they can click on that, find out more about it, give, and suggest it to people. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, more than I think some of our favorite appointments, and we're primarily marketing everything, sharing on Facebook, right? Because in Facebook, you can share other people's posts. And so one of our favorite appointments have been when one of our friends shared our post with one of their friends, and we all of a sudden get an appointment pop up with a person that we've never met.
That's awesome.
And that's really amazing. That's been really cool. And so, those have been some of our favorite ones, just because that's just kind of neat. Just like, wow, pretty cool. So that's the website for now, but that's all in the midst of changing. Of course, I'll let you know when that happens, but
Yeah.
it's going to have its own thing. It's going to have
Nice.
its own website.
Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
All right, man. Well, I appreciate
All
the
right.
time. This has been good. Bless you guys for what you're doing.
Can I pray for your audience? Can I pray just for the people that might be listening?
Absolutely.
I just want to, we talked a lot about relationships, and so I want to encourage, if you're listening to this, I just want to pray over you for, let me pray. Let me pray for us as far as relationships. So, Father, for anyone that's listening to this right now, I want to thank you first for the conviction and the correction and the inspiration that you've had in my life in the past few weeks to pursue relationships that I knew needed to be better, and that you showed me to pursue them, and I didn't even need to know the answer of what was going to happen or how it was going to happen or anything like that. And so I just pray that for anyone listening to this, that they would have the same, that you would, if anyone's being stirred in their heart right now as far as relationship, that you would give them clarity, courage, bravery, but also your conviction that leads to action, and your conviction that leads to hope and faith and love. And I just pray that what you did for me, that you do for others in here, whether that be a mother, father, or brother, or sister, aunt, uncle, coworker, whatever it is, an old friend, that you would give them the courage to, without needing to know the answer, but that you would begin speaking to them, their hearts, if you'd like for them to pursue reopening a door to a relationship. Anything that's been dead, just come back to life. But Father, you speak it to them directly. So I just pray for increased clarity to hear his voice in this time over you on who to pursue, who to reconnect with, maybe who to just send that text to. It could be simple as sending a text. God can do a lot. Father, you can do a lot with just a simple open line of communication. And so I pray for courage and wisdom for the people tonight. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thanks, bro.
Yeah, thank you.
Love you
fun.
guys.
Thanks for having me on. You too, man. All right, bye.
Bye.